I found myself not too long ago, 19 years ago actually, going to the synagogue, and as I was reading the Tanakh, the Hebrew scriptures, and every time I came past the word about the Lord, the Messiah, I was really blown away because it sort of gave a glow to me, and I thought something must be wrong. I rubbed my eyes to try to get this this gone. You know, what is this? And so I figured, well, I know, I'll just ask my wife. And I turned the book to her and I said, you notice this, Isaiah 53 and Proverbs 30 verse 4. I said, is it glowing at you? Look at it, is it glowing? And she looked at it, and then she looked at me, and she looked at it, and she looked at me and said, are you okay? So I knew that I was in trouble right then. So I said, well, I'm going to drop that, and I know, I'll go to the rabbi. We were friends. See? So I went to the rabbi and asked him why I saw this Messiah stuff, this to sound like Christian things in our Jewish Bible. And he said, oh, and he looked at them, Isaiah 53, and he said, oh, I don't know what it means, but I'll get back to you. 2 weeks later, he did get back to me, and he said, they're speaking about Israel. He says, you mean Israel was pierced for our transgressions, and by Israel's stripes we are healed? I said, that doesn't sound very relevant to what it's saying. It's putting it into a place and not a person.
Yes.
And it sounds like it's a person to me from what I'm reading. So he said, well, that's what it's called, Mr. Jerry. He was a Southern guy, a Southern rabbi. And he said, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to go to Israel. I'm searching now. I said, I am stirred. I want to find out the truth. I want to find out about our people. Well, I went to Israel. I really took that trip.
Yes.
And I was blown away when I saw the 32 congregations. I tried to catch everyone that I could catch, everyone I found out about, to see the services. They were Messianic Jewish congregations, and where they were on their hands and faces, I came in there and they were praying to the Lord. They had their prayer shawls on. I just sighed. It was a sigh of relief that I'm not nuts, that it's real. We had in this very same spot, we had a small building, and in a short time we wound up getting overcrowded. A good, healthy type of situation. So we proceeded to get an architect and see how we can attach another part to the building. The problem came up where the new laws and the old laws, and they grandfathered in this piece, but it wouldn't look good. Right. They didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know how to put this together, and they insisted that we should throw it down and start over. We said, no, this is like our first step. We really let it be in the rear, and we could put a whole front on it. No, we can't do that. So it was going back and forth, and I said, well, you think about it and see what kind of ideas you can come up. Well, they didn't get back so readily, but 3 or 4 weeks or so later, in the middle of the night, we heard the phone ring, and it was around 12 midnight, Sunday morning. The voice said, do you own a van? Yes. Well, I think there's a fire. There's a fire on my van? I said, and the voice, he said, no, there's a fire on the building. So I said, okay. I was half asleep, so I put the phone down and went back to bed. And finally my wife started shaking me. She says, who was that? I said, oh, it was a fireman. Fireman, I don't know, some crank. She says, well, maybe it really is. I said, oh, I don't know, maybe. And I jump up, we get dressed, and in minutes we're down here. As we approach near, we see the flames in the sky, really way up high. Really, really. And it was very devastating to us. This whole story is really emotional. So all the people came out, our people, and the firemen were here, and they were blasting the water away on the building. And finally the fireman came over to me, and he says, we're losing the building. He said, and it was all, you can see right into the building. It was skeleton, like burnt down already. He said, is there anything we can save for you? Well, I pointed to the ark and the religious items, and I said, well, I would appreciate if you can get that out because they're our religious items, and we really, So he ran to he said, okay. He ran to the door, and as he got to the door, the whole roof of the trusses, the beams caved in, and all full of flame. And they landed all over the ark, And the flames were just, the fireman turned, he said, I'm sorry. He said, I tried. So we understand. And it burned and burned, and we were just weeping and just ragging over there and back on the land. And the fireman finally came back, and he said, it's an hour and a half. He says, it's still burning, and it never caught fire. So he said, it never burnt.
It's wood.
That's the same one. Didn't even get dust. It didn't even get smoky.
Oh, God.
We couldn't believe it ourselves. First of all, we couldn't unlock the lock while it was here. We couldn't pull the door open.
Oh, yeah.
And so when we get to the entrance to get it out of the building into safety, out of the destructed area, we noted that we took our finger and it just flipped open. Oh. And we looked inside and we seen the metal of the door lock was melted. The pieces were all over there, and the wood didn't burn. That's not feasible. tell you. It was a miracle. And the miracle became more of a miracle because what happened is 2.5 hours he came back again and he says, it's still not burning. He said, you people are lucky. I said, no, we don't believe in luck. That's a miracle.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I guess. And he gets on the two-way or whatever, and he's talking to the station house and he's telling them the fire, he's explaining the whole thing. Somehow somebody picked up his conversation. Okay? And it got to scatter all over. We didn't know this to be a fact, but what happened is it also got into the Stars and Stripes magazine. That goes into every camp of the service. Okay? So we, this is something beyond our possible wanting to do something like this. Unplanned, unknown, no money to be involved. And so we knew that we were publicized all over because we started to get letters from these people who we didn't even know, even from foreign countries. Yes. And we still have them. We saved it. It was a souvenir, and these letters together with checks. And each letter you read, you cried. You just couldn't. The people were speaking such uplifting words and encouraging.